Well, the time has officially come. Hunter x Hunter, after chapter 410, is back on hiatus. Now, unlike the last hiatus, which took 2 years, with how things are, last I checked, Togashi had up to like 413 all the way finished to be ready to be released, and drafting and inking left to do for up to chapter 420, 423, for what I believe that still needs to be finished, inked, and fully set up. So there's a lot more that's already like close to complete or in the process of being like completed, unlike last time. And this hiatus came to be primarily because Togashi took a back surgery, from what I can believe. Not confirmed that it's his back, but chances are it was his back. And he's recovering, and so the hiatus is definitely much needed. So for right now, I don't think this hiatus will be as long as the last one, or the one before that, which was 4 years, which I believe was the longest Hunter x Hunter was ever on hiatus. And when that hiatus ended, that was when I fully caught up to Hunter x Hunter, which is funny enough as it is. But either way, we left off at a pretty interesting space for a hiatus, and I think it's a good place to end things off, and also a good volume ender of a chapter, because a good amount happened that I cannot wait to get into. But also, I will let you know, this isn't the end of Hunter x Hunter content on the channel. I have a few video ideas in mind. They won't be weekly, maybe once every 2 weeks, whenever I get things set up, until we get news of new chapter releases. So for now, it's going to be a bit sporadic, but I will have some Hunter x Hunter videos planned for you guys. I already have one in the chamber that I'm going to release maybe before the end of the year, so look forward to that as well. But yeah, after this chapter, I still have some Hunter x Hunter stuff that I really want to talk about in the future, so look forward to all of that. And before we jump into things, don't forget to like and subscribe and hit the notification bell for updates on future videos. Really helps, and it shows you guys enjoy the content I make here on the channel and shows you want to see more. Now then, on to chapter 410 of Hunter x Hunter, Negotiation Part 4. Now, we start off working from last chapter, where Borksen somehow chose the yes card, so now she will be joining Morena's entire mafia family, and we all assume maybe it's some grand master plan from Borksen to somehow do things in a way that we never anticipated. No, Borksen didn't intend to pick the yes card. In fact, Borksen just lost all real accountability in the game, because it's revealed that Borksen cheated. Back in the last chapter, when Borksen inspected the cards, she did an indent on the return card very briefly, so that she would know which is which. That way when she picks a card, which is what she did, she would pick the return card. And when she crumbled it up, that was her essentially getting rid of the evidence, because Morena wouldn't be able to tell, the person shuffling wouldn't be able to tell, because they would just look at the top of cards at the top of the cards. So it was all relatively a perfect plan. But loophole, because it is now, if anybody had any real speculation, it is 100% confirmed the negotiation game is part of Morena's Contagion ability. So, all said and done, full confirmation, no more second guessing whatsoever. The second that Borksen cheated, she essentially forfeited the game and only can do things in yes or no. And based on how things are going, how she cheated, broke the rules, she fell under the manipulative aspect of Morena's ability, and that kind of disappoints Morena, because of how they got to know each other and how they shared information in the previous couple of chapters. Morena most likely just felt disappointed that Borksen just cheated her way through this whole thing, despite having a relatively decent connection and actually really starting to like her. So I understand, as shocking as it is, the disappointment that she has in Borksen cheating a literal incredible game of just life or death at this point. So she basically had only yes and no, and due to everything that happened, she basically had no choice but to pick the yes card based off of the conditions and the consequences of cheating and forfeiting the game in this manner. So now, Borksen is more or less a part of the Haley family 100%, as she had no choice but to say yes to joining. And so, she gets the full breakdown of Morena's ability, being Contagion, a tool to love, and essentially you level up. She equates it to a game app. And so you start off at level 1 or level 0, and you get 1 point for killing somebody. If you kill a Nen user, you get 10 points. You kill a Prince, it's 50. And the game doesn't end until either the player themselves becomes a master, aka a master 0, a patient 0 essentially, and start their own Contagion game. And so that's how it works. Either Morena dies, but before Borksen essentially reaches that high enough level, or based on the wording of the phone dying, the container dying, Borksen dies. So that is already a really interesting aspect of Morena's ability. So that is pretty damn interesting to think about. But I like how we get this really cool panel of Morena all silhouetted like a demonic being, stating that whether Borksen chooses to level up or not, it's up to her, but they will betray her the moment that they realize she's of no use to them, and whether she stays here or goes back to her friends is up to her. She's free. Their goal is to kill people after all, so yeah. And while this panel does look incredibly sketchy, almost like Togashi just wasn't able to finish this one singular panel from this chapter, I will go on record and in the opinion that some other people have had, and I think this would be really cool, is Togashi did this on purpose to showcase just the menacing aura of these characters. And this is obviously just everybody, Morena included, just exuding their ren over Borksen. Now that Borksen is an end user, I can fully feel the onset of just incredibly hostile aura being projected towards her, forcing her to the ground. So yeah, that is a really cool panel, and that's probably why I put it up as a thumbnail. But Borksen in this instance realizes that she has a time limit now. If they find another specialist candidate before she does anything, she'll be eliminated instantly. And if she equates to her ability as a phone app, Borksen will assume that Morena will be able to see and hear everything that Borksen sees and hear, because another really cool instance that we learned about Morena's ability, that she's actually able to essentially know the location, the status, level, and points of every single member that is under the influence of Contagion. So she has eyes and ears everywhere based on how this works. Now, obviously, once again, she has no idea what their specific abilities are once they awaken them, most likely, but the fact that she has this much information is definitely incredible. But after this, Borksen says she's going to go back to her people, and she has every right to do so. She is free, but Morena reminds her that the Haley family is also her people now as well. So Borksen leaves to go back to her friends. We have no idea how that's going to happen, but she has a purpose now to essentially level up and get her ability as quick as possible, but she has to kill people to do so. So that's going to be interesting to see what exactly happens in that instance. But before she leaves, she asks Morena to show her around so she can get to know her comrades more. So yeah, she is going to leverage this as much as possible. Obviously, Morena also stated that betraying each other and killing other members isn't forbidden, but yeah, for all we know, Borksen could try and just eliminate other Haley members, but we have no idea how that's going to fully just affect her stance in this whole debacle that she's in. So there's a lot to consider, but Borksen is definitely another major player in this game, and if she does awaken to her specialist abilities, I'm curious to see what type of ability she will end up, cultivating, because it's a specialist. Practically anything is on the table as long as there's the right conditions and limitations placed upon it, so it can work in a very powerful manner, but only in specific conditions. So I'm curious to see where that will play into things. We then cut to Benjamin's soldiers and the military essentially just clearing Tier 3 with martial law being enacted. But then a soldier goes up to one of the captains, says Case S, and we actually get to see room 3101, which, if you don't remember, is the special door that leads directly to the Haley hideout based off of one of the members' and then abilities. Now this was sealed off as this instance, but a total of 3 soldiers have gone in and disappeared, and they just vanished, so they're wondering what's going on. Now, we all know that anybody that enters through there is essentially free fodder, free leveling up fodder for the Haley members. So based off of when we end up cutting back to Prince Benjamin, when he's told about this instance, he just tells them to just keep it under surveillance, leave him be, and I'm sorry, but Benjamin, he has no idea what's going on, so I fully understand his reasoning, but if more and more of his soldiers just go in, disappear to a room that's essentially connected to a room full of Nen users, that's just free levels, free kills for the Haley family. And I wouldn't be surprised if Borksen essentially saw this and tried to take advantage of the situation in order to level up as fast as she possibly can. Granted, these are regular people, so it's just one level. She have to kill like 50 people to get full access to her Nen ability and develop it. But as Benjamin is going through leading his soldiers in martial law, we learn that Lazarus and Zhang Lei are missing. We know that Zhang Lei right now went to Tier 2 before martial law was enacted, so it's essentially stated that perhaps he sought refuge with the Shiyu family. That way, since that is the family that he himself is just, over. But also Lazarus is missing, which is very interesting because last time we learned about Lazarus was there was an assassination attempt on him by Melody, Fugetsu, and Kaiser, so it seems very likely that the assassination or attempted assassination of this prince might have actually succeeded, and that helps trigger martial law. So, yeah, a whole lot of things we still need to know about. But what's interesting is that we actually get Benjamin's inner dialogue. He says, 10 hours from onset to coma. Death comes 2 hours after that. I have about 9.5 more hours I need to eliminate the princes by then. So this implies, as we further end up being stated in the chapter, that Benjamin might be infected with the virus that Hulkenberg got infected by, the bioweapon that Balsamilko had to try and slowly kill Prince Hulkenberg. Now, based off the dialogue at first, we would assume maybe, just maybe, Hulkenberg managed to switch into Benjamin's body and he's talking about his original body. But no, we end up getting more of Benjamin's dialogue as he's talking about he has to officially be anointed successor before he dies, and he can hand the throne over to his child with an emergency law, and he needs a letter from his father for succession, and then once he dies, his illegitimate child will end up becoming the next heir, the next prince. So with how that goes about, he will have a successor even if he dies, so in a sense he will win the succession contest, and somebody from his bloodline will be the next king. And so with that, he actually has 4 princes left to really take account for, to really bring this into head. Also, look, I just like how we have about 3 full-page spreads in this chapter, because after we get this piece of inner dialogue, Benjamin makes it to the Justice Bureau. And now that he's arrived at the Justice Bureau, he is met by 3 familiar faces: Kaiser, Mizaistone, and Boltebek, I think I'm pronouncing the name right. 2 of the members of the Zodiac, the Dragon and the Cow. And this is an interesting standoff because Benjamin is essentially trying to merge all 3 branches of government so that he can enact martial law and have full control and make the Justice Building his main center of command, and that he wants these 3 to be his witnesses. And so, as Mizaistan rightfully asks, he needs a letter of succession for Benjamin, and also full on to provide a basis for declaring martial law. And so Benjamin says there's bioterrorism orchestrated by Saradnik and Hulkenberg. The collaborator was in the military, had a sample under development, and was brought on board. There were multiple co-conspirators, several suspects were arrested and are now being questioned. Some of the suspects were accompanying the prince's security teams when they were taken to secure locations to be safe, and that he would like to complete administrative steps without delay. And so Mizaistan recognizes that he's right now going to use the princes on Tier 1 as hostages to secure the 3 branches of government. And so he states that everything that he says is most likely mixed in with half-truths, twisted, and that he really is an impulsive dictator that wants to take the shortest route to fit what he wants. Which is exactly why Balsamilko was there, to keep him in line, to be patient and think things through. But now that it seems like he is infected by the very bioweapon that he wanted to use on Hulkenberg, and to an extent technically did, with Hulkenberg also doing a whole complicated thing. It seems the irony of the matter is really interesting because he's trying to blame it on Hulkenberg and Saradnik, which, based off of at least with Saradnik and his record, if they dig it up, it's very possible they can at least, in the vaguest of ways, stick it to him. Also, we do see Benjamin's guardian Nenbeast, so this does 100% confirm that he's not being taken over by Hulkenberg. But yeah, so he really wants things to go along, and that he is saying that the king's letter is going to be written up as they speak, so he really wants things to get done as quickly as possible. But Boltebek ends up going up face to face with Benjamin, and I keep forgetting how tall and large Benjamin is. And the Dragon Zodiac is also really tall as hell. But he asks Benjamin flat up to his face, "You look pale. Are you alright?" But Benjamin says that there's no problems whatsoever, with a stern look on his face. And I like the bit of detail that Togashi is putting into Benjamin's face when he's making this declaration. But Kaiser instantly realizes that Benjamin is pushing this incredibly hard, and suspects that he is, and correctly so, that Benjamin is infected with the virus. And considering Hulkenberg's progression with how things are going with the virus, Benjamin has about 24 hours at most before things come to a head. And so, if they can somehow keep Benjamin from fully enacting martial law and taking full control for at least one more day, they'll be able to actually get through this. and that they still have a final stronghold. And then we also get a notice that it's been 40 minutes since martial law has been enacted. So, based off of Benjamin's dialogue, he has at least 9.5 hours before everything is said and done, to basically before he falls unconscious and eventually dies from the actual virus that he implemented onto himself. And what's standing in his way is the crime hunter Mizaiston Kaiser, member of the Judiciary Bureau, the Justice Bureau, and Boltebek, who is, from what I double-checked, is a terrorist hunter. Hey, editing Chris here. Really quick, just want to say that his name is Boltobai, not Boltebek. I don't know how I started saying that, but just wanted to throw in that correction, at least this late into the video, unfortunately. So I apologize for that, but either way, yeah. Boltobai, terrorist hunter, all that stuff. Let's just get back into the video. Just wanted to correct myself post-editing. So, if anyone is gonna, for more or less, figure out what's going on, it's gonna be these three characters. But they're gonna need proof. They're gonna need to hold on for at least a bit longer before anything else. Because Benjamin is close to being the next prince to just exit the game. And if they can hold off until he dies, or at least passes out, then they essentially have a much closer chance of winning. Also, based off of Kaiser's dialogue, it's heavily implied that maybe the loser's plan actually succeeded, which, yeah, we still need to go back in time to see what the hell happened during the negotiation game right beforehand for martial law to be enacted, because a lot must have happened to trigger this. One of which being Benjamin being infected by the virus. So, yeah, there is a lot to really consider with this aspect. But that was the chapter. Not only did we fully see how Borksen chose yes, we got more info that helps give us a better picture of Marina's abilities. We also see that Borksen has now become a major player in the succession contest in the Mafia War. Benjamin is close to death and wants to enact martial law and become the successor so his child can become the next king of Kakim. And we have two Zodiacs that are very specialized in criminal cases and, well, terrorist cases, facing off against a dictator, and we have a member of the Justice Bureau who kind of knows virtually everything that's going on to this point. So, yeah, Benjamin's got his work cut out for him, but we gotta see what's happening. But what did you guys think of this chapter, and how do you think things are going to progress further? I'm really excited for whenever Togashi comes back from hiatus and gives us the next batch of chapters, because if things keep going like this, we might actually be finished with the succession contest within the next 20 to 30 chapters at least. I know it sounds like a lot, but still, with how things are going, we have a timer now. We have a full-blown timer for one of the major powers in play in this succession contest. So there's a lot to really consider when it comes to that. When a timer is introduced, chances are things are going to start going back into a more fast-paced direction. And we still got to figure out what's going on with Phantom Troop, Kurapika. A lot of stuff still needs to be explored and explained upon. But let me know what your thoughts and opinions and how things can be done in the future with how Togashi has set things up in the comments section down below. And if you haven't already, like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for updates on future videos. Really helps, and it shows you guys enjoy the content I make here on the channel and shows you want to see more. With all that said and done, hope you all have an awesome day.